To celebrate the exhibition Abstract Art in Northern Indiana at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, I'd like to share with you a short history of abstract art in America. In this film, you'll understand the origins of this movement and its place in art today. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Sarah Fiedleholtz of ThinkBox Strategies, Shannon Bruns of Capture Photography, and Rod Ovid of Luminous Productions. Thank you. This exhibit, A Sense of Place, Abstract Art in Northern Indiana, is an excellent exhibit, both in the breadth of the abstraction shown and in the strength of the individual works, and that they drive home how well the artists of our region really understand abstract art and really deliver an end result that's on a national, international level. And to put that in some perspective, let's think about abstract American art in history, because like much art, if not most art, it didn't begin here. It began in Europe, and it's a turn of the century thing. As the world begins to change and artists began to want to do something more than replicate what they're seeing in nature, wouldn't there be a higher calling? And could they not deliver on that? And of course, several European artists did with Cubism and a variety of the isms that came out at that time, including Impressionism, for that matter, looking at the world in a different way. Okay, now in America, it's first going to be shown on the coast, in this case, New York City. You're going to have a 1912 show, the Armory Show, and in fact, people are going to learn, wow, what is this shocking kind of art that's being done that doesn't look like a thing in nature. It doesn't look like a place in nature. In fact, maybe it's a place inside someone's head or heart, okay? Can we get used to that? Well, actually, not right off the bat. And that's sort of challenge number one. How are we going to get used to that? Now, challenge number two, it takes more time to evolve. Challenge number two is not just about how the public's going to react to this, it's how the public is going to be led to believe that abstract art that is so progressive and is so important in the 20th century, because we in America think we're the most important thing in the 20th century. So that can only happen in New York City. Now, why would they think that? Well, they think that because that's where it first made a debut. They think that's because that's where the best gallery system was. That's where, short of Paris, that was the center of the art world even before the two wars, certainly cemented after World War I and World War II. Okay, so it's a coastal phenomena. Right, now, where does that leave anybody else in the country? Let's say from Indiana, you traveled to New York City and you saw abstraction and you thought, I can bring this to my studio back. Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work early on, because we're not going to think that you have the gravitas, the sheer capability to grasp this both artistically, meaning in the handling of, and intellectually. Okay, so we're going to write that off. Okay, now today, here we are with this gorgeous work around it. It's as good as anything that appeared in the 1912 Armory Show. It's as inventive, it's as powerful. Okay, so what has changed? Well, let's go back now to the end of World War II. What's changed is the end of World War II brought the GI Bill. And the GI Bill enabled every state college in the beginning to have people come and study after they got out of the war. The GI Bill would pay for that. And what did many of those individuals want? They'd just been in the war. A lot of them don't want to sit in a classroom and learn math or English, maybe literature. They'd been broadened by their European travels, even if it was a war. And certainly art was a big thing. Now, think, The war was so emotional. You're back in the States. It's over. You've been through nothing like that in your life. You may want to express your feeling, your emotion, your fears, your anxieties. What an outlet. Okay, now, who's going to be the faculty at all these new programs? Okay, now let's go back to look at the import of this. The programs aren't all in New York City, and they're not all in Los Angeles. The programs are in land-grant universities all across the country, and mid-20th century, abstraction is stronger than ever in our history. There's another war coming, a war as devastating in many ways to that generation as World War II was to this generation, and some of the artists in that generation are going to say, you know what, this abstraction thing, let me take it to the end result. And they really were thinking about the purists in Russia, but they called it minimalism. What am I going to paint? I'm going to paint an all red canvas, an all black canvas, an all white canvas, and I'm going to end painting. The truth is, though, that doesn't set well with all the other artists who've been trained in all the other states to make good art, to make great art. David Smith down the road from Decatur, most famous sculptor of his generation. So you can make it anywhere. This exhibit proves that you can make it anywhere. The evolution of the art schools is the means that it could happen, because this is now, not only is it in every state, making all states equal, honestly, and it's also within everybody's reach, and it also has a public. So I hate to bring the word up, but there's a marketplace. So the public can not only appreciate it, but they can actually buy something. You can sell a show out, you can make a living, and you can move on. And the schools are the mechanics for that, and marketing are the mechanics for the financial side of that. And someone says, we're going to find new art forms that push the envelope of abstraction, that push the envelope of art in general, of which we feel abstraction still plays a major role. And it did, they weren't wrong, it did. Andy Warhol could do all the cartoons that he wanted to, but it didn't replace abstraction. Now, what's the theory? The theory is quite simple. If I'm going to paint a barn with a sky and a little forest behind, whatever, I'm arranging color and line, okay, to assemble a mood, to send you some signals. Your retina will pick them up, your brain will interpret what your retina sees, and you'll have a reaction. I'm going to go back to 1901 and do some reading. 1901, a British guy says, significant form, that's what that is. I have that dark line that's the forest, that's a dark line. The red barn is a red barn. The little silver mailbox out front is a little silver mailbox. You know, those are all things that we've constructed, but the problem is that's all good art is unified by those lines, those colors, and those shapes, not by what I'm showing you. So what I'm showing you, the public turns around and says, oh, I love that red barn, and I love that Indian landscape, and I love that beautiful semi-cloudy sky. No, this is Clive Bell, and he says, I'm going to argue with you. You love Grandma's farm, which you don't live on anymore. So let's get the nostalgia out of the way. And what about looking at a red form with a blue form in the sky, with some white forms in the blue form? And let's make all that dance around so that your eye doesn't know it's Grandma's farm anymore. It just says, your eye tells you this is really emotionally charged. I don't know what it is. Okay, you're back in abstraction. That's the strength of modern art, is going to put us back in abstraction, where the artist trains the hand, the eye, to do what you want it to do. This is very intentional mark making, color choosing, space and shape maneuvering. So take me seriously there, I'm not joking you. Okay, so we're going to trust you, but you're giving me all these lines and forms, and I'm okay just to be delighted by it. I don't have to know what it is. I'm just okay to look at it. That's it. Let your emotions roller coast if they have to with some. Let your feelings come out with others. And America can do this because America has strong artists, America has strong art schools, and it's all across America, which makes it different from any other country. This happens in America coast to coast. And that's the most important thing that this show proves. It's important for a museum to say, we showcase this because of the quality of our Indiana artists. And we don't exclude our cousins in Chicago, and we don't exclude our neighbors, in Ohio. Well, they're good too. But get the point, people. We're great, and these artists are. And then the viewer, the people that come in to see the show, that's where you want your confidence to swell up. You want them to say, I never realized it, but Indiana has extraordinarily talented artists, and this isn't better than this is as good as anything that I've seen.